Okay, we'll start this. As you know, we come down the stairs. Got a few awards and things on the walls. You can see the tunnel portal where we come through the stairs. And the track comes along here. This is what I call RIP. I'll zoom out a little bit. You can see there's a siding here, but there's also a little bit of an industry spur. We got some sugar beet loading that takes place here at RIP. This could also be considered Hampton, Iowa on the M and St. L. As you can see, it is above the workbench where things happen. And got some grain bins under development here. Working on that. We come around the curve. It's amazing what you'll find sometimes sitting along the sides of the track. We come into the town of Ackley, and this is a big white spot on the bench work where I just kind of line up vehicles and projects I've been working on. I call this Al's used car lot at the moment, or Joe's used car lot, I should say. But we do have some little scenes that are starting to develop here as we work. In the background, you can see the Marshall canning plant at Ackley. I'm using a photograph right there. You can also see the foam block buildings that I've been known to do with a magic marker. But this is a Marshall canning at Ackley, Iowa, a major shipper there. Certain times of year we come into Ackley proper, and we've got, of course, a lot of extra stuff sitting here. But here are tractor unloading facility, as we get a variety of tractors here. Here are the those questionable tractors we're not sure about. They're what they are. They are dyna models. They are farmals. I painted them up a little bit. Need to do some more work, but they're mounted on a flat car here. We can see the grain elevators that are here at Ackley. We've got a nice little depot. They had a nice brick depot there. We've got some storefronts taking place. Another feed mill operation. Here is a nice scene that I've been working on. The Fruit and Lumber Company at Ackley. If we zoom in, you can see we've got Joe standing there getting ready to fill out an order. You can see the scrap box, the radial arm saw, and the tools. So this has been taking some work, having some fun with this. Doing that, playing with some scenery. Also scratch built some coal bins to go with it. A lot of lumber yards had coal bins for, you can see the pile of coal there, and there's my coal truck. Some other things. Ackley, we can scan back here and you can see the town stretches out there for a few feet. But the significance of Ackley was the interchange with the Illinois Central. The M and St. L and Illinois Central crossed at Ackley, and that was significant because this is where all the Decker meat was transferred to the IC for hot tailing it into Chicago via Waterloo. And so there was a small yard south of the Diamond in Ackley where the M and St. L dropped off the Decker meat, and the IC came and picked it up. And this is a very active spot on my layout. Now, of course, this particular basement, we have obstacles like walls we have to go through, and we come through here and we come into another room of the basement. You can see there's quite a bit going on here. This is where we find Eldora and Marshalltown. Coming through the wall, we get another grain bin farm under construction here. Plan to modify these little coal conveyors to make them into corn elevators, but I think we'll have a nice scene there sometime. Of course, we've got cattle. They're lining up going to the barn as we come into the farm scene here on the north edge of Ackley. or no, Eldora, excuse me. Been playing with some trees, with static grass, doing some scenery work here. And of course, the lady hanging her laundry out, it's a nice day. Eldora was an interchange with the Chicago Northwestern, their secondary line across Iowa. We had a lot of oil jobbers. That's the oil spur track back there. And of course, grain elevators. Grain elevators and stock pens are prominent on my railroad. And then lumber yards and coal sheds. So small depots. And of course the farm scenes. We can see one starting to develop here. We got a farmer starting to pick up his hay from the field this summer. And of course at Eldora we also have the Iowa River crossing. Again, scenery is starting to take place and develop. And then we just have scenes where I like to display some of I like the construction equipment, dozers and graders and stuff. So here's some variations. We come around the curve from Eldora. We come into what is Marshalltown. You can see Marshalltown across the way, but one of the keys of Marshalltown is this peninsula, which is the 8th Street industrial lead. And we come down through here. We've got a scrapyard. We've got a nice grain elevator scene with some happening there, spotting a boxcar, and I've got some grain doors sitting there. But the significance of this industrial layout switch or area is, of course, the Swift meat packing plant, and I've used packing boxes for models, but this is the Swift plant. Stock pens. We come around the corner and we get into some more of my famous blue foam structures. The Concrete Block Company, the Marshall Packing, Hellman Sausage, and of course the Swift plant there with some dock cars. It was also an oil jobber up at the north end by the Swift plant. And where we come back into, you can see the grain elevator, the Koppel grain, which was a small elevator there. And this is there's no runaround in this peninsula. You have to block your stuff, your train in the yard. We got, of course, a Y at the one end of the yard. This is, you can see the hole in the backdrop. That's where the Great Western and Northwestern come in from the east. We have stock pens. Oh, got some wild livestock there. I'm missing a stock pen. I need to get one assembled and put in place. But we can, as you come into Marshalltown, you see that we have a nice little yard here with a lot of cars stored at the moment. Marshalltown Depot, a model someone built and gave to me, so I use it. We also have, Marshalltown was home of Marshall or Western Grocer, and Marshall Canning as well. They had an icing dock there at the yard. We can see we got the icing dock set up. We got blocks of ice waiting for reefers to come in. So, and then the Marshalltown yard office here at the end of the yard. So we come on by. The branch line in the back is the Story City branch line. It served several small towns, including this one with a grain elevator, and for the life of me I can't remember the name of them. Clemens Grove, yes. And then also this is the Milwaukee, actually crossed underneath the M. St. L., but on my layout the Milwaukee is going over the top of the M. St. L. at the town of Pickering. And of course more rural scenes. We got some more animals, and again holes in the backdrop. So we go around the corner, just back up here a little bit, and you can see my scenery workstation. I've got a cart here, drawers full of scenery material and some shelves. Got some trees under the development here. Need to get them finished up and planted on the layout. So we come through the wall, we come to the town of Grinnell. Grinnell was, of course, where the Rock Island crossed the M and St. L. And we've got a Krandig engine sitting on the Rock Island at the moment. So, but you can see there was a little bit of a downtown area there north of the tracks. Edmond St. L was pretty much all south of the Rock Island with the interchange. There was a lumber yard there in the Y at the interchange. We had the Armstrong coal, feed mills, elevators, etc. There was an old depot down there. It became the freight house when the joint depot was built between Rock Island and Edmond St. L. You can see in the background behind the elevator the train that is the Story City branch line. So and we just have a variety of stuff here. Of course, some Edmond St. L locomotives sitting waiting their orders. Stock pens again, oil jobbers, some small scenes. And this up here is the town of Roland, Iowa. I don't have room for Story City, but I included Roland, which was some grain elevators. Oh, I forgot another Marshall canning. This is the Roland Marshall canning. That's actually a model built by Clark Propst. He wouldn't give me the model, but he loaned me a photograph. So I've got a photograph on the backdrop. Someday we'll get something built to go there. So we come around the corner. We got a nice little scene here with the bridge and the bridge inspector sitting there. Been doing some more work with the static grass, as you can see, coming around the curve. We go through the wall again, and we're approaching Oskaloosa. West of Oskaloosa was a coal washer built by the National Coal Company. I've been working on this model and this scene this winter. You can see we've got a little bit of work there being done. Couple of tracks, shoving cars in there to be loaded with coal. Most of the coal out of that plant went actually to Des Moines. So we come up and we have a small yard here at Oskaloosa at the north end. There was also a large stockyard facility there, and of course, some grain elevators. And Oskaloosa just again was home also of another facility for Western Grocer. They had a big building there. I've got a small one at the moment. We'll get one built that we come into. Now you notice it might be looking a little dark. I got a light burned out over the National Guard yard. Soldiers are in the dark today, but that happens. Come down to the south end of Oskaloosa, and we've got, looks like a bridge manufacturer. There was a company called Seaver Manufacturing in Oskaloosa that did make components for bridges early on, so we've got some parts sitting here. And then there was also some coal loading going on there at Oskaloosa. We continue on down and we come to the little town of Eddyville. Just a little spot in the road. Important because this is where the Rock Island and the Edmond St. L came together. Got a little weather problem going on here at Eddyville. And we also see in the back, you can see the line that drops down, heads east to Peoria. Now of course here we had some sand loading, we had an oil jobber, small grain elevator, and of course a stock pen, and this is all in 6 feet of length, an HO. So this is of course a Des Moines River Bridge crossing. We get across the river and we come to Bridgeport where there was a coal-fired power plant. And then from Eddyville we continue on into Albia. We cross the CB&Q at a place called Maxon. We have a yard back here for the CB&Q. And we then come into Edmond St. L, or at Albia proper. So this just gives you a little bit of a tour. And I am running out of time on my memory card. So we are going to stop here with this nice shot of an Edmond St. L loco.